So there it is. There's another meme, another reaction from me. And this is just the David Watson opinion. So for crying out loud, don't take it too seriously. So I seen a meme, and it was on an Instagram page for Official Behind the Gloves, which predominantly is boxing, or predominantly that's how I know them. And somebody put up a meme, and it said Ngannou, and next to it was Fury, and it said Ngannou 600k, Fury $32.8 million. So let's address some of this disparity in finances. Firstly, it's no secret, everybody knows that the UFC with Dana White, there has been a lot of criticism for a long, long time. Okay, nobody disputes it. The Reebok deal ended a lot of their personal sponsorship, and it was a take it or leave it. If you don't like it, tough shit. And you know that some of those big players could have had $1 million sponsorship deals for their fights, and they lost that because Reebok got exclusive rights. So yeah, that's completely unfair. But when you compare Ngannou to Fury, and you just put up simple figures, you're not telling the full story, are you? The picture is very covered up. And I'm not defending any of the disparity with the UFC. But firstly, that $32.8 million that Tyson is being paid for that fight, it's also the largest payday of his life. And there's some add-ons. He's going to earn more than that. That's basically for turning up. And I think that's the biggest payday for a boxer in the history of boxing in terms of upfront money. Obviously, there's add-ons, pay-per-views, etc., whatever, however that deal's been worked out. But here's the thing, the big thing. And if you look at this as well, you've seen this with McGregor. Why did he go and fight Floyd Mayweather? Oh, because there was $70 million involved. Boxing is a bigger draw. Boxing is a bigger payday. And I'm not disputing which is the more entertaining. I'm not disputing who has the better fan base. I'm not disputing who are the better quality fighters, which is less political, whatever. But the bottom line is, Fury's fight will sell around the world. People outside of boxing know who Tyson Fury is. No one knows who Ngannou is outside of UFC. I don't have a clue who he is. I don't know who the guy he's fighting is. But I'm not a UFC fan. I'm not a... When I say a fan, I mean I'm not somebody that can just watch UFC. You can get me interested. You can get me entertained. I'm aware of some of the names over the years, and I've watched a few of those fights. I've never watched a fight live. I've always watched the highlights of whatever. I'm an avid boxing fan. So I get if you're coming at this that you think I'm defending boxing. I'm not. I'm trying to highlight the fact that when people put up a meme that says 6,000k for one champion, $32.8 million for another champion, you're not talking about how much money that fight is going to draw in. Do I think Ngannou deserves a better split of the money? Do I think fighters in general in the UFC deserve a greater split of the money? Yes, I do. 100%. I think anyone in any sport, especially combat sport, where you're going to get punched in the face, kicked in the face, choked, whatever, you deserve a greater split. As great a split as possible. But here's the thing. If you want $32.8 million, you also have to come up with the interest. People aren't paying Tyson Fury to do him a favour. They're paying him because of the money he brings in. They're paying him because he is the marquee name. who is known around the world. There are very few countries that don't know who Tyson Fury is. You had the Tyson Fury Wilder fights. You had the Tyson Fury versus AJ. Now it's Tyson Fury versus Usyk. Then now it's back to Usyk versus Anthony Joshua. These are people in different countries, different heritages, and it's generating worldwide interest. Worldwide interest. And they are going to make a shitload of money off Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. And that's the thing. The same as when McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather. He went to Floyd Mayweather, at the time possibly the biggest name in boxing. Generated hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. And sadly, unfortunately, like with many combat sports, if you don't draw in that money, you don't get to have those paydays. And like I said, I'm not saying, you if you're going to be honest, if you take your heart out of the situation, and I appreciate that's a very difficult thing to be subjective about if you're passionate about UFC and you're a big fan of Ngannou. But whichever way you look at it, it only got my attention because of a meme with Tyson Fury, because I didn't know who the guy was. I didn't know he was fighting at the weekend. I'd seen there was a UFC title fight on, but I'm not paying attention. And I'm not the only one that isn't. And if you can't draw the attention of the big crowd, if you can't do what Mayweather did, Bisping to a degree, whether, and it's a shame because it seems like I'm talking about fighters that created a controversial stir, who did lots of shit talking and did it well. And I don't mean to be like that. Ricky Hatton did an amazing job of promoting himself. Chris Eubank Jr. does an amazing job. Billy Joe Saunders in boxing, but of course I'm talking about boxing. See what I mean? You take away Bisping and McGregor, and I don't really know anything about all the other fighters. And that's the thing. You can't pay these guys tons of money when they don't bring it to the table. UFC would go bankrupt tomorrow. The bank would foreclose on them as soon as they saw what was happening. And Dana White and the investors didn't get their money by being that stupid. And that's why it disappoints me sometimes when I see people do these memes. I get the point they're trying to raise. And I'm grateful, because otherwise I wouldn't have anything to talk about. But you've got to be realistic. It's like any sport, doesn't matter what sport it is. Unless hundreds of billions of pounds or dollars or euros or yen, whatever the currency. And that's the thing, when you talk about the big fights like Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte, or if Fury Usyk ever happened, dollars are going to be turned up, euros are going to be turned up, pound sterling are going to turn up, the yen's going to be turned up, the ruble's going to be turned up. Currencies from all over the world are going to be just ploughing in. It'll be like raining. It'll be torrential rain, and it will just be money pouring in from all four corners of the globe. And unless Ngannou can raise his profile to that level, he's never going to get that money. He's never going to get those big bucks. That's the sort of stuff that McGregor pulled off for a reason. But what McGregor did exceptionally well, better than anyone else has done in the UFC, is he got himself a fan base. And the fan base included the haters, the people that wanted to see him brought down. And this is the thing that the good fighters on the business sense understand. The haters are just as important as the supporters, because it brings attention. People are talking about you. The media talks about you. Social media platforms talk about you. The commentators talk about you. Other people in the sport talk about you. Everyone is talking about you, and it's free advertising, and everyone tunes in. And every time you do or say something, it's on the news. And I promise you now, as somebody that pays light attention to UFC, nobody outside of the UFC, if you're not a UFC fan, a big follower, nobody knew Ngannou was fighting. And I don't even know who he fought. And that's kind of the point. If you want big bucks, you've got to be big news. Unfortunately, it's not always about the quality of the sport, the quality of the fighters. Money comes from attention. And you've got to bring attention to the table. Excuse me. You've got to bring attention to the table. And then the money follows. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think.